President Trump's health continues to take a turn for the weird. Just why is he posting week-old photos claiming that they are brand new? And is even more weird, suspicious stuff happening at the White House? Just what do I think is really going on? Slap that subscribe button, and we're going to find out together. So, President Trump is, of course, subject to a ton of speculation about his health. And, well, he hasn't been seen in public in nearly a week, so it makes sense that, well, people are going to have questions. But the official stance of the presidency is that, well, the White House press says everything is fine. The president is doing great. He's just enjoying his Labor Day weekend golfing. But, again, Labor Day weekend isn't a week long, and that's true of the American worker, and it's certainly true of the American president who, has a couple of other issues here and there to deal with, believe it or not. And now that more and more people are asking tough questions about his health, something that, frankly, a lot of Americans wish they had done earlier with Joe Biden, it would be easy for Trump to simply reassure them by going onto a video call or chit-chatting with someone. But none of that has happened. In fact, he posted what he thought was going to be his own little proof of life and physical well-being, where he posted an image of himself playing golf with a former football coach. But the football coach's own Instagram showed that his outfit was actually a week old. And people said, hey, man, why do you got to lie? If you're doing great, why not just give us a selfie from wherever you're playing golf right now? And as they say, as Newsweek says, there's no evidence that the president's health is in any imminent danger. But what's weird is that it would be, again, trivially easy to assure us that the president's doing good, and he's not. There's only been some sort of grainy photos of him bundling into a car and going towards Virginia, where he says he's been playing golf. But, well, it's kind of weird. There's also, of course, the strangeness of his swelling in his feet and his bruising on his hand as though he's been getting IVs. Again, as one social media influencer said, quote, I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but if you're fighting off rumors that you may have had a major medical episode and disprove that rumor and provide proof of life, you post a picture of yourself playing golf with John Grunden today, it'd be beneficial to post a picture that wasn't from August 23rd, right? And a different political consultant said, it's insane. The president of the United States is obviously lying about his activities, and the lack of curiosity by the media is stunning. Right? It's not very bizarre to any reporter that the Trump White House and their allies are trying to pass off a photo of Trump taken last week as being today, right? And what I think is also sort of strange is that, again, the president has no scheduled activities for yesterday. He was not seen in public yesterday as well. And again, it argues that he basically went to his golf club, then went to Trump National Golf Club, golfed all day, and then went back to the White House, which is weird, again, that he was not actually seen at that golf club. But then what's even more bizarre is that he says, listen, he has nothing scheduled today, Tuesday, and except for he's going to make an announcement that is related to the Department of Defense. And this is to the White House press pool in the Oval Office. So he presumably will make some kind of appearance at 2 p.m. today. It'll be so interesting to see what he looks like. But things are also kind of weird because, well, there's been footage shown at the White House, as you can see, of objects being thrown out of the window. See if we can observe it here. Let's see. Here it is. Here it is replaying. Look at this. This is an open White House window. You could see someone is throwing bags of something out of the window. It's not clear who it is. The window is open, which is not supposed to happen because, it's a security risk. It's generally believed that the glass in the White House is resistant to firearms. So the fact that somebody's tossing these objects out, what looks like maybe things stuffed in plastic bags, is pretty bizarre, right? It's not clear who's doing it, and it's not clear why. But it's a pretty strange action, particularly when somebody mapped it against the sort of publicly available areas where you could see that there is a bathroom. It's a window against an unmarked area, but generally when you have this kind of layout, you're looking at a bathroom. So why are they throwing things out the window of a White House bathroom? It's not really clear at all. Now, one of the things that we've talked about on this channel a lot is that it seems unlikely that Trump is he is definitely not dead, right? Someone like JD Vance would never allow a power vacuum to exist and him not fill it. It's too tempting. He clearly has sold his soul for like proximity to power. So now that if Trump were dead, he would absolutely just take it. He'd be like, I'm the president. I did it. Instead, what's almost certainly happened is that he had some kind of minor outpatient, not minor, but fairly serious outpatient surgery, something that is serious enough that it would cause real concern about his health. Again, my thesis is that, and it's purely a thought, is that like a valve replacement or catheterization, some kind of treatment for heart failure. Again, it would explain the swelling in his legs. It would explain the IV in his hand, the IV type bruising in his hand. And it's the kind of intervention that you would do. And in a lot of cases, if you punch it into your favorite LLM, right? In fact, we can do it right now if you want. Let's just do it, man. Let us go into old Google Gemini and ask them in real time, right? What are the surgical interventions for congestive heart failure, and how long is each hospital stay? Give a bullet point list. Let's see. We're gonna do this. We're gonna learn in real time. But generally, right, you have the heart transplant, which is a last resort option for people with end-stage heart failure. Probably not happening. You're going to be in there 1 to 3 weeks. But you could get a ventricular assist device implanted, a mechanical pump to help lower the lower heart chambers pump blood. A typical hospital stay is 12 to 14 days. Probably not true. Coronary bypass graft, 5 to 7 days. Heart valve repair or replacement, as little as 3 days. And if you have a minimally invasive catheter implant, 1 to 3 days. So again, it seems like there is at least a possibility that if you had a surgical intervention, you could be returned to the White House in as little as a day, right? And what I think is also worth noting is that, the White House is not like your and I's place, okay? The White House, if necessary, could be equipped as a recovery room without incident. And so you could probably, when normally they say, hey, you got to stay in the hospital for 3 days for monitoring, they can do that monitoring at the White House. You can have a surgeon on call at the White House. The White House will get you to a hospital in seconds, if necessary, into a surgical center, if necessary, in seconds. So you can probably shave off, I would guess, and say up to like 50% of the time off of these, simply by virtue of the fact that you're the president and you can work at the White House, right? So I'll be so curious to see this press conference, how he looks, how mobile he is. Is he walking around? Is he chit-chatting? Is he cheesing it up? Again, that though alone would not say that he didn't have, again, a minor surgical procedure. And the real question though is, why is the U.S. public, again, kept in the dark on this? And this is something that is like one of those fundamental issues with a democracy where you had with Joe Biden, right? The U.S. public, if you want to live in a democracy, you have to provide information to voters to allow them to make decisions about who should run the country, right? And that's one of the reasons why just finally the fact that the public simply demands a debate was so significant, not because it provided us insight into the policy decisions, right? Because international relations is not debating, right? It is not, you don't have to, like, Putin is not going to win a debate against Zelensky. And it doesn't even matter if Zelensky is a good debater or not. The reality is that you have to be able to see, the public needs to be able to see the physical and cognitive capabilities of the person who's going to run the country. But that's true now as well, right? Does the U.S. public have a right to know the physical and mental capabilities of the U.S. president? It probably, yeah. It's probably important, right? Because, well, there's option, right? There's the 25th Amendment. There's all these options. And again, if the U.S. public had known about Joe Biden earlier, Would there have been more demand for the voting public to vote for an opponent in a primary? Would other people have chosen a primary against President Biden? Right? Would we have the outcome that we had in this election? So in some ways, the willingness to lie about the president's health is a fundamental, not a threat to our democracy in the conventional sense, but a threat to the ability of voters to make informed choices about what's happening. And the fact that there is no generally accepted mechanism to get just a basic assessment or transparency into the president's health is itself a huge problem. If you guys want access to uncensored combat footage, including stuff sent to me straight from the front lines, sometimes even with units using gear that we purchased for them, you want to become a member at combatvetnews.com. That keeps me independent and enables me to continue to speak truth to power. The link is in the description. A huge thank you to our Colonel tier members like Thomas Anderson, Dan Cochran, Jalen Gow, Officer Merle, Deborah Oppenheimer, Paul JW, Jeff Javies, Mike 54, Supreme Margaret, GMAT Club, and all of our Lieutenant tier members. You guys are the OGs. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.